Good morning, everybody. We got Denise Jones in the studio.
Welcome back to the News Number One Morning Show in
WGVE.
Northwest Indiana. News, sports, education, and entertainment. Wake up, GI, with Jeffrey Smith. Brought to you by the Geary Community Schools Corporation.
All right, everybody, we're back, and we kind of left you with a cliffhanger because this is kind of interesting. You all know that who are out there listening. That this is exactly the kind of stuff that I get into on this show. So I'm very interested about about asking some of these things we're going to talk about during the interview. But once again, for those of you that are now watching us online, we wanted to make sure we get you hooked up as well. So if you don't mind, young lady, reintroduce yourself.
Absolutely. My name is Denise.
Denise?
So, yes. And so my name is Denise Jones, so I'm from Chicago,
yes.
Right? And so, again, it's a great opportunity to be able to share this amazing story. So
Denise is the author,
yes,
and producer,
yes,
and I'm sure, are you in it?
No.
Okay, so you're behind the scenes, but you're the author and
absolutely.
producer of a very provocative play that is going to air this Friday, correct? Where are you gonna have it?
So it's going to be at the Beverly Arts Center, 2407 West 111th.
Yeah.
So that's the 111th and Western.
Okay. All right. Now, before we took our break, I as I said, I want to get back to kind of leading up into this very provocative story. So you say you were born in Chicago. Is that the West Side or?
Yes, the West Side of Chicago.
The West Side of Chicago, and I guess early on you found yourself kind of getting involved in some things that are maybe a little bit untoward. So kind of tell us a little bit about that.
So growing up in a dysfunctional household, like Sunday through Thursday, you live in this amazing family lifestyle, right? Then come Friday and Saturday, it's a flip. So this is when the partying starts, the gambling starts, right?
So at what age did this start? Did this I guess pattern start to develop itself?
I want to say between 4 and 5.
So around 4 and 5, you're living kind of this idyllic life as a 4 and 5-year-old, and then all of a sudden, when the weekends would come, things would change.
Right.
Now, was this due to your parents or where you were living?
Well, I was living with my grandmother. My mother would live there off and on, but primarily my grandmother was raising me and my siblings.
Yeah.
And so
how many siblings did you have?
4.
You have? Okay, so there's 4 of you.
So there's 5 of us total.
Total.
Yes.
And you all were staying with your grandmother,
yes,
and your parents were kind of coming in and out of your life.
Yes.
Okay, and so what was the environment like at your grandmother? Was she a very loving, caring individual? And so how did the weekends get out of hand? How did that happen?
She certainly was a loving grandparent, so we would grow up, like I said, the Sunday through Thursday, eating all the hot breakfast, the grits, the Barker House sausage, all that kind of good stuff, right?
Right.
But when Friday came, it's the fish fry, right? You got the fish spaghetti, but then at the same time, you're preparing for your gambling crew to come over. Everybody used to have this pity pat and beer whiz going on in the house, the alcohol and the parties, right? So it'll kind of change.
So your grandma's house kind of was the house in the neighborhood that everybody kind of came to.
Between that home and my auntie's home, right?
Right.
So, yes.
Right. So you all your family was kind of in it a little bit
absolutely.
On the weekends. And so as you said, you're a little kid and everybody's kind of coming around. The festivities are happening. Is it, did people or whatever, did you kind of get sucked into it? What was happening around that time? Why was it different?
So it was so different because while they gambling, or sometimes if it's not at our house, it's around the corner at my aunt. So my grandfather would come home drunk, right?
Right.
And when he would come home drunk, he would take me and sit me on top of his legs, the straddle of his legs, right? And bouncing my private part up and down on him.
What?
Or sticking his tongue in my mouth. So
your grandfather?
My grandfather.
Yeah.
Yes. And so when that wasn't happening, sometimes my uncle would babysit us and take me in the closet. Back then you had the big walk-in closets, right? We would be behind the clothes. And he would put me up against the wall and pressing his body and everything up against me. Yeah. So it was just so.
Now, how old? Okay, stop you there. Give me the relationship with your siblings. How old were you? Are you the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. So you're kind of like 4 or 5, as you said, and so they're obviously going all the way down to like 1.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a very, very vulnerable situation for all of you. Was there? And obviously you're so young, but was there any, I guess, safety valve or any adult that you could talk to, or because obviously looking back, you knew those things were not right? Well, did you know? You
didn't really know. You just, as a child, when you do something, there's some uncomfortability that you
exactly. But these are authorities figures, right? They're family.
Absolutely, people that you love, right? and not knowing how to articulate this, and especially at a young age, you being manipulated, right?
Right.
With those little quarters, or
Yeah.
giving you the little piece of candy.
Yeah.
This is just your secret and my secret.
Right.
Don't
Grooming
tell
you,
nobody.
grooming you.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So there's no way you was able to tell that, right? But as I continued to grow,
Yeah.
you know, it was something that I can only say now that I had became introverted.
Right.
Right. So I'm always in the back scene, right? And so later on,
So at what age? Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you. So at what age did you start to realize that this is getting very weird? It's getting uncomfortable, because you're talking about 4 and 5,
Right.
and you're totally right about that situation, because you're a kid. This is your environment, and so there's little barometer to know that this is wrong. I mean, did you ever talk about it with maybe some friends or anything?
No.
So you didn't. So you couldn't even share that story with anybody.
How do you?
For somebody to tell you that it was
Absolutely.
wrong. So at what age did you realize that this is getting a little, this is not right?
Well, like I said, as I continue to grow and get older,
Yeah.
you know that things are uncomfortable, but you caught in a catch-22, right?
Right.
As a child, how do I go and say, Mama, Daddy, put his...
Yeah.
Because I wasn't taught that,
Right,
I wasn't taught to be able to say, when somebody put their hands on your body, stop
Right.
them, come and tell me. So I wasn't taught that. So you're talking about someone that you love that has built this secret between you and I, and constantly giving you those little quarters and nickels.
So what about your mom and your biological father?
No, both my parents, both my mom was not there. She was in the streets chasing the man that she wanted to be with.
Right.
My father was nowhere in the picture.
Nowhere in the picture. So
No.
this is what you had.
That's what
This
I
is
had.
what you had. And so after a certain point, as you said, you're keeping it into yourself, and you're kind of, as you said, in the catch-22, because now you're involved in these secrets, this kind of little web that's been put around you. And you're the oldest.
Yeah.
So did you at a certain point start to at least make it, get into a protective mode to keep your siblings out of this stuff?
No, I didn't, because I didn't know how to do that,
Right,
right?
right.
So I didn't, and I never even had the thought of that they were being messed with or anything that. I didn't find out until years later, almost in our adulthood, when my sister stated that the grandfather was trying to mess with her.
Right.
So
you won't never, right. So this is, excuse me if I'm just getting so fascinated, because this is something that, a lot of people don't really get to talk about, because look at this situation here. Here is a group of 4 siblings in an environment, and they are going through stuff, and none of you all are talking about it with each other. I mean, it's kind of master grooming. I mean, because the person or persons that are doing these things to you all has gotten you all in this kind of contractual relationship where you're not telling even each other of what's being done to you. So, as you said, it wasn't until maybe you all reached adulthood that you even dared share these secrets.
Absolutely. And so that thing happened, I want to say, all the way up until maybe 9, because at 10, then my mom came back after she had gotten an outside apartment to come back to get the 5 of us, right?
Right.
And so then moving us from the grandmother into her home is when we moved into Rockwell Garden. So these things was happening like on the west side, on Keela, right?
Yeah.
And so we moved from there, we moved into Rockwell Garden. So we there, again, we having this lovely household.
Right.
The sharpest apartment in the building, because she was a thief. So,
Oh my goodness.
so she was stealing, and back then, they had the community store, they called the community the Zares, right?
Yeah.
And
I
she
remember
would
Zares.
just have us in our underwear, t-shirts, and would take us in the store, right?
And dress you
send
in
us
the
out to
store.
the car, right?
Yeah.
And send us out to the car to take it off. So so for us, we thinking we got everything is going good, right? We go to North Dakota. Me, 2 of my sisters and I go to North Dakota for 2 weeks.
Wait, I gotta stop you right there. We're gonna take a little commercial break. Why the heck are you going up to North Dakota? What's up there? I mean, this story is so interesting, but you just threw North Dakota in here. We got to talk about that.
Because I wanted to give you
the
next transition, right?
So you go to North Dakota.
So
God knows why.
So, no, it was a community. The Malak House had programs, like Catholic Charity had programs for the community. So they was giving this free trip for all the poor people. That's pretty much what it was, right? To go to North Dakota, right?
Yeah.
So it was a group of children, not just us, but it was a group of the community children that went. So we went and we come back. 2 weeks later, we're at Union Station, right?
Yeah, in Chicago.
My mom comes in with my brother. We sitting in there just waiting because she left us in the station, waiting to get there, right?
Right.
When she walks in, now
you're coming back from North Dakota, right? You're waiting for her to pick you up, and she's got you waiting for hours.
Yes.
Okay.
And so we sitting there and we waiting, and finally when she walks in, and we looking like, who are you? Now when she left, we known her as the mother, May, right?
Right.
When she come back, she had done changed into this person, dirty old man. You know, meaning it had to be going on all the time, but this was the opportunity for her to break free, right?
Right.
Now she has turned full-fledged lesbian.
Okay, wait a minute. All right, we got to slow this down. We got to slow this down. All right, so you okay? All right. First of all, you go up to North Dakota. God knows why. No, I understand it. You went to basically a camp.
Absolutely.
It was like a retreat for at-risk children and things like that. They took you up to North Dakota. We'll have to schedule you another show to sit here and talk about what that was about. I've been to North Dakota, so that, we got to talk. But so you come back from this trip. Obviously, you took the train, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you're sitting at Union Station. She's got you waiting for hours while your mother, you're waiting for your kid. You're waiting for your mother to pick you up.
Right.
And then she comes, and now she's a full-fledged lesbian.
Yes.
Okay. And so what was that like? Now, mind you, you're a kid. So how did you know she was a lesbian?
Well, I know now what it was, right? I didn't know then what it was,
Was
right?
her persona different? Was
that's
she,
what I'm saying. She came in, she had this two-tone color natural, and she had these, she had this man look, the whole appearance had changed.
Right.
So she had this two-tone color natural and
what?
Looking like a man, right?
Yeah, so basically she's coming in, excuse my French, but I guess the only way you can describe it, she kind of came in very butch.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
And so you're looking at a whole new mom.
Absolutely. And so she had my brother with her. She had one of the women with her that she was, that she had got involved with.
Yeah.
So I'm asking my brother, who was this?
Right.
Who was this?
Right.
And he always tell me, because I was real inquisitive, right? He always would tell me, you nosy, stop asking so many questions. I said, no, I want to know, who is this?
Absolutely.
Who is this? What happened to our mother?
Right.
Who is this?
Right.
And he couldn't say nothing. So we goes out to train station, and as we go to get into a car, she got a whole crowd of people sitting in the car, right? We had to get in there and sit on top of them.
What kind of car is this?
My mother used to drive nothing but Cadillacs and Buicks, right?
Okay, so this is like a scene out of Superfly. What's this all about?
Right,
yeah.
Cadillacs and Buicks. That's all she used to drive,
so
right?
She picking you up. Now there's all these people in the car. You sitting on laps and stuff like that.
So we go back to the projects.
Yeah.
We got these people living in our house.
What?
So all of us had our own bedrooms at one time. The girls had it, the boys had it, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
So that one room became her weekend room, right?
Oh.
So we would move out our room into the room with the brother.
Yeah.
And every weekend she would have all these parties, all these strange people. And again, nosy me, right?
Yeah.
Want to know what's going on. You got us behind this door.
Yeah.
But what's going on? Because we be woke up because she come in from late night parties.
Right.
And all this loud noise and partying, right? So my mother always been the leader. So what she would do is she would initiate people. So she would bring women in who, had never been a part of the street life, things of that nature, but they always wanted to be connected with her.
Right.
So she would initiate. She had one man in the whole party, right?
Yeah.
And they would initiate different people. Meaning what?
Remember, we got to.
I'm saying meaning.
Keep it rated G.
Yeah.
No, because this is very provocative, and I want you to continue. Yeah.
So meaning, she would have these parties and these different things would take place. And
she would initiate activities, and the one guy would be there.
Yeah, to be the one that does the initiation, right?
Yeah.
And so
is this guy is he running things, or is your mom running things?
No, she's running it.
Okay.
But he was
just benefiting from
absolutely,
it. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, at this very early age, did you start to see any drugs? Or, obviously you talked about the alcohol, and you were seeing that at your grandparents' house. Now, at this situation, this is getting a little wild. I'm assuming drugs are involved in this.
Absolutely. Drugs, sex, all the activity is involved in it. And that that one incident was the turning point of my life.
Coming
right?
back from that day, coming back
You know,
from the
yeah, because it was something that I saw.
Right.
It was something that I saw.
So you saw the behavior.
I saw the behavior.
Oh my goodness.
I saw the behavior, and it was something that, and it was a person that lost their virginity, right?
Yeah.
So that blew my mind,
Right.
Okay, and I couldn't understand that activity. And when I grabbed my mother because it frightened me of what I saw, she just turned to me and said she's losing her virginity.
Now, how old were you? How because age is relevant. How old were you at this time?
About 11.
Okay, so you're 11. Once again, you've got 4 other siblings. You're only being separated from a lot of this stuff by that little door in which she would push you in when these things happen.
Absolutely.
Once again, I'll ask you: at that point, was there, at being the oldest, did you feel any obligation to? Even though you were still a young little girl and traumatized, but did you feel any type of obligation to protect your younger siblings now that you knew exactly what was going on?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I was the oldest, right?
Right.
So now it was at that point time for me to protect them, but at the same time, I got pulled into it. So it was, again, I'm being caught between protecting them and then me going off into the same lifestyle as my mother did, because that was the turning point for me.
Okay, so all right, so that kind of brings us up to like where you were leading in talking about your story. So after a while, that behavior, that environment that you were raised in, it manifested itself and produced its first product, and that was you. Because because after
Absolutely.
that, you became a product of that life. And so I know we're kind of pressed for time, but then you started you obviously doing a lot of self-destructive behavior
Absolutely.
and things like that. You were, I guess, experimenting with drugs and things. When did you first have your, I guess, intersection with law enforcement? When you started really getting in trouble with the
Had to
police?
be about 16.
Yeah.
16, and because I was endeavoring to be grown, trying
Right.
to be grown, right? I raised my age to say I was 18, right?
Right.
Just to kind of fall in a pattern. It's a psychological thing to,
Yeah.
and so I end up getting arrested for disorderly conduct,
Right.
right? So I'm like, hey, I'm doing everything my mother did. She went to jail, I'm going to jail,
Right.
right? So she shot drugs, I shot drugs,
Yeah,
right? She
yeah.
pimped, I pimped,
Right.
right? She robbed, I robbed. She stuck up, I stuck up.
Right.
So we kind of had became partners.
Yeah.
So I was no longer her daughter. We was buddies,
Yeah,
and doing everything together.
Yeah, and so once you got involved, or the system started to kind of, you got put on the map, and as you said, law enforcement, 16 and things like that. Were there things like Child Protective Services or any of these kind of agencies?
Not like it is now. So
Okay,
when I
so
dropped
nobody kind of came out and said, we got a 16-year-old girl that's out here, basically.
No. When I dropped out between the 4th and the 5th grade, so back then we had the truant officers, right?
Right,
The
truant officers. You dropped out of school in the 4th grade?
between the 4th and the 5th grade.
Okay,
yes.
so that's kind of my question. So you're out here in the streets of Chicago, 4th or 5th grade, that's around 9, 10, 11, and there's nobody that's picking you up on the radar.
No, so let me say this. The truant officer would come out to the house, right?
Right.
I wouldn't answer the door.
Yeah.
My mom wasn't there. I wouldn't answer the door. And during the times that she was there and sending me to school, I would ditch. I would hide out in the lunchroom. I would sit up we had like something like a cherry tree.
Right,
I would
right.
climb up the tree and watch the truant officer come in and out of the building,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So there was no guidance, period, to
Yeah.
say, get in school. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? None of that was there.
And because this is just an amazing story, by the way, and we're talking with Denise.
Yes.
Your last name again?
Jones.
Denise Jones. She is a author, a producer of obviously a very provocative play that is going to be shown this Friday over in Chicago. I want to make sure we get that information out there, because this sounds like a very interesting tale that is going to be out there on the stage, and I want people to know about it, because this is a great weekend to go out and do some stuff, and this is something that I think people need to see and need to talk about. And so I guess I want to kind of jump forward. So, because the one thing that I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around, and you and I are kind of around the same age range, and you're right. I mean, maybe Child Protective Services, and there's so many more eyes that look and talk about these things, but I still can't. There's just a part of me that wants to kind of give you this big hug, because there's that little 11-year-old girl that is out there. Obviously, you're coming in contact with grown men. Okay, so you are.
Well, not in that sense.
Okay.
Because again, I followed the pattern of my mother.
Right.
So when my mother came back and she was into the lesbian lifestyle,
Okay, so
right,
you went that route.
I went that route over 17 years.
So you're still, but you know, even though it might be same sex or anything like that, it's still molestation.
Absolutely.
You know, so you're kind of going there. Adults are absolutely mistreating you. You are abusing yourself with drugs and things of that nature. You're coming in contact with law enforcement. Let's fast forward. At what point in time did things start to turn around for you?
Well, in 1986, my mom had gotten her life together, so
How old were you around that time?
20, maybe 26, 27.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, somewhere like that. And I went to help her, so at the same time of helping her, I still was helping myself. I was sitting in her garage, right?
Yeah.
And I was shooting heroin, and I was smoking crack cocaine.
Wow.
And so, you know, it was just skeeting out the holes as I was skeeting it in, and I was like, listen, I can't continue to live like this. Listen, either I'm going to die or I got to get myself together, right? And I thought about, she went to a church and got herself together. I said, well, let me try the same thing.
Oh, so your mom had kind of gone out and cleaned herself up.
Oh, yeah, 1981. Yeah.
So she cleaned, and did she come, she didn't come back for you?
Listen, she reached for me, but I was so far gone, right? I was
Yeah.
so far gone, I didn't want to hear anything that she had to talk about because she was the one that introduced
That's
me.
what I was
so
about to
now
say.
you're leaving me hanging,
Yeah.
right? So I don't want to have nothing to do with you. We no longer buddies.
But my point is that I'm putting it still more on her because she got you into this. And so when she came back, how hard did she try to bring you and clean you up? I understand she was saving herself, but how hard did she try to go get you?
After she got herself together, she did, because she would bring church members to where I was,
Yeah.
right, to try to tell me, Denise, you don't keep living like that and different things like that. But for me, still having that sick mind, right, I'm like, listen, I don't want to have nothing to do with that. I don't want to have nothing to do with it. Don't talk to me about that. This is where I'm at. So she continued to come.
Yeah.
But it was a plan all the time, because when she was about to have my little sister, I had to come help her, which was an opening for me to be able to say, I'm tired, right? To myself, in a garage, you know, couldn't get high no more. I'm like, listen.
Wow.
I said, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
And I made my mind up to go to this church, the same place she went to, right?
Yeah.
And to hear them talking about, I don't have to continue to live like this, okay?
Yeah.
And at that point, I said, tried everything else. Everybody done had my body. I done abused it, everything, right? Gave my life to the Lord. That was my turning point.
Yeah.
So from 1986 to now, right? I have now resulted back to laying with women, shooting drugs, sticking up, burglarizing, playing checks, and the list goes on. Right now, I'm living productive. As you stated, I got my GED, I got my bachelor's degree, I now have my master's degree.
Really? Wow! Look at you.
So. And now I'm the author, I'm the producer, I'm the author of the book Who Said It Couldn't Be Done, the producer of Beyond the Door Play. I'm a licensed and ordained minister, and I am an entrepreneur of my own commercial cleaning company.
Oh my God, let me tell you something. I just want to, I got the applause button over here, but I want to give you just a real one, because I'm not going to lie to you, it is, I've never sat in, I've heard of stories like this, but I've never been opposite of somebody who is just kind of opening up. And I mean, I want to thank you, first of all, for doing it. But this is, you know, you're doing this because you're telling a story. I want to ask you, okay, so before we get into, you know, writing the book and writing the play, did you, you know, after you kind of saved yourself and your mom saved yourself, did you now feel, well, obviously, because you did go to your spirituality, you are a minister, did you feel some kind of obligation to go out here now and go after these young girls who are in similar situations? And maybe even some young men, because this is not just for girls.
Absolutely. And first of all, my whole purpose, it's not even about me, right? It's not about me. My life is, none of this was about me, right? I now know that God allowed me to go through what I went through, and I make no apologies for it, right? Is to be able to go back and help somebody else. Yeah. So he knew he had a plan, that he was going to allow me to go through what I went through, and he had a plan to bring me out, right? And so with that, and I look back, that's what this whole thing is all about. It's all about me going back, being able to give it away. I'm in the communities every day, right?
Yeah.
And I'm seeing me every day, right?
Yeah.
I'm seeing my friends every day.
Yeah.
So my whole desire is to be able to go back and take the message of hope to those that are in the streets. That's what this play is about. I've written a book, but how many people actually read, right? How can I get this message in front of them so that they can see it live?
Right.
So that they can see that, listen, if she done it, I can do it. So
Yeah.
there is hope at the end of your end of your dark tunnel. So
Now let me get. I know we're kind of pressed for time, but so tell me about the play. All right, you wrote the book. At what point in time did you decide to? As you said, I've got the book out here, but I really need people to get to experience this thing. And a lot of people that I'm coming in contact that I see, they don't necessarily pick up books as frequently. So I want to put this out there as a play. So how did that process go? Did you get somebody to help you? Did you kind of do some research about writing a theater play? How did that
because
happen?
with the book being there, we adapted the play, and the play was done in 2019, right?
Okay.
And so there was.
Did you have help? Did you have help, like a playwright that helped you
Yes,
out? Okay.
yes. And so there were some things that was missing. So what we did now to make the story more profound and more well-rounded and put it on his legs, so that bigger people can see it to help me continue to move the story, right? And so, yes, I had all those different things in place to help me to get the story to where it's at. Has it been rough? Absolutely.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
So
anything worth having is.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And so let's talk about the play because it comes up this Friday, correct?
Yes.
Give us the location, the logistics. Let people know how to get some tickets to this thing.
Yeah, so the play is going to be at the Beverly Arts Center. The tickets...
you know the address, Beverly Arts Center?
The Beverly Arts Center, 2407 West 111th. That's Chicago, Illinois.
Yeah.
So you can go online at thebeverlyartscenter.org and get the tickets. And one of the things I would like to say, two more important things, is I have Ife Butler, right? Ife Butler that is directing this play. I also am in partnership with the Beverly Arts Center. So this is the first new work that is coming to that theater that they partnership with me to bring, because they want to bring more stories like mine to the community.
Now, how long are you getting a run? How long are they giving you a run? Is it a one night only
it's
thing?
3 nights.
So it's going to be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Right.
Absolutely.
And so we want people to know that just in case they can't make it Friday, because they might be hearing about this at such short notice, but they hear this story and it's going to be a beautiful weekend. They can get over to Chicago to see this.
Yeah, so Friday night at 7:30, Saturday 7:30, Sunday at 3 p.m.
A matinee show on Sunday.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. And so I guess before you go, is there, you said you were an entrepreneur and things like that. I want you to plug your company, but also I want you to put out here, if somebody wants you to come maybe as a speaker, as a motivational speaker, how can they contact you?
So you can reach me on at author.denisejones@gmail.com. You can also call me at 708-932-6417. This is a working number. I've had this number since 2004, right?
Yeah, that's
so
your
I do
number.
answer my calls, right? I answer the calls. So I'm available to come and speak. My whole primary goal is to be able to take this play into the schools, into the colleges, into the jails, into the prisons, right? Into the community centers, because it's a message of hope for all Americans, right?
Yeah.
If you didn't do it, you know somebody who has went through the things that I went through. So to be able to show that light and bring that hope, this is what I'm all about.
Well, Denise, before you go, plug your cleaning company.
My cleaning company is Diamond 7 Cleaning Company, and the primary reason for me opening it up, I have two companies. Tender Touch, which we put them through self-care and everything under that program for women and young girls, right? And transition them over into my for-profit company, right? To be able to give jobs to second chances. So that's what I do.
All right. Good stuff, man. Let me tell you something. Can I shake your hand, please?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This has been an absolute pleasure.
You scared me.
I really do. I want to thank you for that, because it's just absolutely amazing. I wish you all the luck in the world.
Absolutely.
And please keep us updated. And if you can, come back.
Absolutely.
All right. There you go.
All right.
We're going to take a break. How about starting